The information provided in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice.
Hey, it's Nikki. Thrilled to hand the mic over to our friends at TestRxMD. You might remember David and me sharing our pretty in-depth health journey last year, from a devastating diagnosis to our taking health by the driver's seat. We chose to partner A to B first with the health professionals that have helped us most. Collectively, David and I, we lost over 60 pounds, and so many other aspects of our health have us feeling more lively and confident these days. So look, we're on a learning journey with you, and we know you agree. Health is so crucial to our ability to live our best lives. P.S. Don't wait to hit this team up at TestRxMD for a free concierge coaching call. There's a link in the show notes, or feel free to ask us. But this action could be the start of a whole new you. It was for us. So I'm passing the mic to our partners at TestRxMD.
Hey guys, welcome back to Activate Your Best Health. This week, we're going to be going over some tips and tricks that anybody can put in place to optimize their health. We have some very incredible insights into each one of these categories. So we're going to just cover each one, maybe 3 or 4 minutes on each one, be quick hitting, a lot of info, and we want to get you guys the best possible info in the best possible way. So keep tuned in and we'll definitely hopefully blow your mind on a couple of these. All right, so number 1, this one's labeled garbage in, garbage out. Did you know that what you could eat could be the difference between feeling superhuman and feeling sluggish every single day? Most people don't realize that the foods that they eat, even the ones that are labeled as healthy, could actually be sabotaging their health. Think about it. You go down the grocery aisle, you look at all the foods up there, and a lot of them have amazing branding. Some of these cereals, let's just use cereals here. They say heart healthy, right? But what is actually in that makes it heart healthy? A lot of times they don't contain anything that is actually good for cardiovascular health. So make sure that you don't just look at the front of the box or the front of whatever you're buying. Turn it over and look at the nutrition facts. And then you can really get some insight as to what's going on inside that food. Another big one is energy drinks. They say you're getting all of these vitamins and minerals, taurine. They say there's a vitamin B in there that happens to be cyanocobalamin, but guess what? That's not the best form of vitamin B to take. You want the methylated form, methylcobalamin, but that's also a lot more expensive, so they don't go that route. Cyanocobalamin, though, happens to be in the same class as cyanide. Everybody knows what cyanide is. Not everybody knows what cyanocobalamin is. So be very mindful of that. The truth is, though, most of us don't realize how much garbage we're putting into our bodies because we trust the marketing. It's sad but true. The marketing has been used to try to tap into human psychology to get you to spend more money. It's so sad. So think of your body as a high-performance sports car. Would you fill it with cheap, watered-down fuel? Or would you think that it would run subpar if you did that? So instead, what if you put in the top fuel? Premium in all your vehicles. It's probably going to run a lot better. So think of yourself like a high engineered sports car. You want to put in the best possible fuel you can at any given time for the best possible outcome. So always keep that in mind. I get it though. Life is busy and it's easy to grab whatever's convenient. But here's the thing. Your body keeps score. Every time you choose quality over convenience, you're investing in your future self. Every time you choose junk, you're robbing yourself of the energy and vitality you could have. So just keep that in mind. It's a very simple trick. Just look at the ingredients on every single thing you buy, unless you obviously know what's already in it. I know you do that a lot, Leslie. You're big on those ingredients. I see you always talking about all these different ingredients and all sorts of stuff. So what are your thoughts on that one as well?
I started reading labels 25, 30 years ago. Before you had all these smartphones and all this stuff, I had a camera. We go to the grocery store and I actually taught people, and we'd put it on YouTube and like, here's how you read labels, because that was kind of the important thing from a training standpoint, because it was taboo for a trainer at that point to touch on nutrition, because it was just a no-no really in that realm. You just kind of didn't do it. There wasn't any nutrition certifications. In all honestly, as a fitness professional, you had more nutrition or just as much nutrition information as doctors did at that point. So you just kind of referred them to dietitians or nutrition. So I just went to the store and started teaching people how to read labels and, things like that. But yeah, I'm big on reading labels. Knowing what's in your stuff is important. Energy drinks, you touched on that. One of the things that, that cyanide level in those things, I can't remember which drink that is, but there's one that is really high in there. I can't remember which one it is, but you want to stay away from those.
Celsius is a bad one for sure.
Is that it? I think that is it. Yeah. But I was at a point where I'm a caffeine junkie. I need to stop. But, a lot of caffeine can have an adverse effect on people. So I don't think they realize that either, is like, especially if you have even a mild case of like ADHD and you take in some caffeine, it could make it, man, I feel like taking a nap. So just be aware of like where you are and what your needs are, because everybody's different,
Definitely. So on closing out this section here, let's focus on a couple things. So we already said to make sure you look at the nutrition facts. Another thing just to keep in mind too, it's the processed foods that are killing everybody. So think about this. What would your relatives 100 years ago been able to eat? If you go into the supermarket and something can be something that they would eat, meaning it's probably a whole food. So fruits, vegetables, meats that are whole foods, it's probably okay for you unless they're additives. But at a base level, it's probably better than some processed cereal or Pop-Tarts. I mean, all that kind of stuff, cookies. They didn't have access to that for a reason. Those foods didn't come around until they were able to be heavily processed, which is horrible for you. So keep that in mind. It's a very simple trick. The other thing too with energy drinks, so instead of drinking an energy drink, get water with a pinch of sea salt and a squeeze of lemon, something like that. Now, obviously you can have caffeine through coffee or green tea. Black tea is an incredible option as well. Just try to stay away from the fake sugars and all the extra bull crap that's in all those energy drinks. So next we're going to move into controlling your cortisol, which ultimately controls longevity and your aging. So go ahead, Leslie, pass it off to you.
Yeah, we can stay on that caffeine side when it comes to those cortisol levels, because honestly, like, you have two of those storage hormones. I'll try to keep this short. I could probably go 30 minutes on the cortisol, but yeah, so the caffeine, depending on timing, it's hard to do away with caffeine in today's society. So if you can't do away with it, which I cannot, I've done is I'll cycle it, if that makes any sense. You get to where like, oh, well, this cup of coffee with a shot of espresso is not doing it for me anymore. I switch to green tea for a little bit. And then I go back to that coffee and I'm like, so that could do it for you. Just cycling, going to green tea and jumping back to coffee, stuff like that. But from a cortisol standpoint, high amounts of caffeine, especially later in the day, just try to limit that caffeine intake if you do have it, like prior to, afternoon. If it's 1 o'clock, I'd say you're fine, but anything later than 1 or 2 o'clock, I'd probably limit that. Prioritize your sleep when it comes to cortisol levels. You got to get good sleep. 7 hours to 9 hours is ideal. Not everybody can do that, obviously, but just try, because that's kind of really important, because cortisol is one of the 2 storage hormones in our body. Depending on the goal, if you have high cortisol levels, it's impossible for you to lose weight, just like it would be impossible to lose weight with high insulin levels. If those are present, the body's in storage mode. And if you're trying to lose weight, we want it in, obviously, burn mode. So relaxation techniques, I do some, meditation as well as you do. I love meditating. Even my kids do it. Well, my daughter does it. My son doesn't do it so much. I can't get him to slow down enough to sit in one spot to do it. So yeah, practice that. It doesn't have to be long, 10, 15 minutes to start, will go a long way on managing those cortisol levels. Nutrition strategies as well. Balancing your macros will help, and we've done podcasts on balancing macros. And if anybody wants any more information or how to do that, just let us know when I can do another podcast and do a deep dive into balancing your macros. Avoid extreme dieting, severe caloric restrictions, or very low carb diets. So we talk out of both sides of your mouth here, right? Because people want to lose weight. What do? You cut carbs, right? Cut sugars. Calories in versus calories out is basically how you're going to lose weight, regardless of whether I eat, 2,000 calories of carbohydrates, 2,000 calories of fats, or 2,000 calories of protein. So it's calorie balance on weight loss, but those extremes are going to increase those cortisol levels for you. But balancing your macros is the way to go on that side. Contrary to belief, carbs are not the devil, but those high sugary foods that, we all love, big bowl of ice cream or those high sugary energy drink that gets us jacked up and then crashed. They're just hyper palatable. Like you mentioned on the highly processed foods, like all foods are processed. So there's a level of processing there's 4 levels of processing. Those highly processed foods are so delicious. I mean, let's be honest, like who doesn't love a good bag of Doritos or Cheetos and things like that? I mean, most people, there's a reason why if you're on a really strict diet, you don't just eat one, because one leads to the entire bag, right? You just don't do it. So
Yep.
Anyway, we won't go down that road right now. We'll save that one for later. Stay hydrated. Remember on hydration, if we're exercising and you weigh, let's keep it simple, 100 pounds, you exercise, you weigh in at 99 pounds, we need to replenish that water. We didn't lose any weight. That's water weight. So we need 2 cups for every 1 pound lost to replenish that, right? Caffeine's the same way. If I have 16 ounces caffeinated Red Bull, or those are 16. I guess you can get those extra huge ones now, but
like 12, I think most of them are.
Yeah. So I usually, if I have an energy drink, it is a Red Bull. I do the sugar-free Red Bull. I found that those are kind of they are more expensive, but they're also like the lesser of all the evils in that clear glass shelf that we all love. If I drink those, I do need an extra 2 cups. So just manage that hydration on that side when it comes to caffeine and weight loss through activity. So 100 pounds, I'm weighing 98. I need to replenish 2 pounds of body weight. So supportive nutrients, magnesium, vitamin C, adaptogens. I take ashwagandha. I don't know if you do.
KSM 66. Yeah.
Yeah. Training, and recovery is important. Manage exercise intensity. Overtraining increases cortisol levels. Everybody thinks they got to go balls out all the time. That's not true. It's good to go, failure in moderation, just like everything else is in moderation. It's good for moderation. So just keep that in mind. We want to train. We want to train hard, but let's just, manage those levels as well. So, yeah, so I think the only thing I have left here would be optimizing social mental well-beings, but just like connecting with others. I know it sounds weird, but laughing goes a long way. Does that make any just sit down and watch a good comedy or enjoy, the people around you. I don't mean to turn this into something that's not like fitness or health related, but honestly, it is health related. So when you have fun and laugh and do the things you enjoy, it does show that it reduces, cortisol levels. So, if you guys want anything else on that, just let us know and we'll dive a little deeper into the cortisol.
For sure. Yeah, I know another big piece here too that people can do is grounding. So either using like a PEMF mat, which we are affiliated with Align. We'll put some of this stuff in our newsletter, and I would subscribe to the newsletter if you want to learn more about PEMF mats or getting into like red light therapy as well. Also, we're partners with InHarmony. Excuse me, not eHarmony, the dating site. InHarmony. Very good friends with the owner, Craig Goldberg, and he has some pretty incredible equipment. I know Leslie happens to have their meditation cushion. I have their sound lounge too. It's incredible. It's all resonance based, so they have an app that goes with it, and you can dial in whatever you're trying to do too. So all that stuff's cool. And even if you don't go with something that we have as affiliates or partners, explore PEMF. Just familiarize yourself with it. Red light therapy, other resonance based therapies. These are all excellent tools that you can put in your toolkit to help you control cortisol. They're pretty incredible, and things have gotten so advanced, especially in the last 5 years. So keep that in mind as well. So now I want to cover, so this is now number 3. a supplement that every single person should be taking. Now, you can also get your body to produce this compound in your body naturally by just going outside and standing in the sun. This compound is vitamin D3. So 42% of Americans are actually deficient in vitamin D. Think about it. How often do you feel tired, achy, or just off? You might chalk it up to just stress or getting older or hormone deficiencies. But the real culprit could be something very simple. It could just be the lack of vitamin D. And here's the kicker. Most people aren't even using it in the right way if they are using it. So vitamin D is actually just like the conductor in an orchestra. It regulates everything from your immune system to your mood, your bones, and even your heart health. Without enough of it, your body can't function anywhere near its best. But guess what? Vitamin D doesn't act alone. You may just hear about vitamin D, but it needs a partner to help unlock its full potential, and that's K2. Think of vitamin D3 as the builder, and it helps your body absorb calcium. But without the K2 component, that calcium doesn't know where to go. It can end up in your arteries, causing calcification, instead of strengthening your bones where it belongs. So that combination of D3 and K2, they work together like a GPS for your calcium, ensuring it goes to the right places. It's so, so, so important. You want to say something, Leslie?
Yeah, I do actually, because and I don't know, maybe we
Good.
don't really go too deep into it. Maybe you know why, but I'm curious on that because it's been, we weren't always deficient in vitamin D, and we are, like, as of the last couple decades, and it's just getting worse and worse. I don't know. I haven't really looked at causation or anything like that on vitamin D. It's kind of why you're touching on this versus me.
Think about it. Think about it in terms of, okay, so think about like your parents, right? When they were younger, what didn't exist? Cell phones, the internet, post-COVID, it's even worse. So where I'm going with this is most people today have a job in an office, and in that office, they're on a computer all day long. Do you think they're getting enough sunlight to actually activate enough D3 in their body? That's the difference. It's lifestyle. Yeah. So the lifestyle has just changed. And it's pretty bad. There are some people, like, think about it, like some teenagers that just want to game all day long. They just sit in their mom's basement for 16 hours a day playing games. You think they're getting enough vitamin D? No.
No, and you can tell too by just like how they look. I mean, literally, you see it's a pale, like, yeah, it's like, man, dude, you need to get out of that room, like, get out and get you some sun, bro. Let's go play around the golf.
Yeah, 100%. And D3 is crucial for testosterone production. So if you're a guy and you're feeling kind of mopey, feeling kind of down, low energy and all this, vitamin D3 might be one of the first things that you can try as a supplement that can help boost your test levels. It's pretty incredible. But if you guys want more on this, feel free to reach out, click in the show notes below and fill out a wellness consult, or just leave a comment, and we'll definitely either reply to it or create an entirely new episode that dives a lot deeper to this. So the next one here, we're going to have Leslie cover. Movement is medicine. I know this is one that hits home for Leslie, so we're going to let him take this one away.
I mean, we were pretty sedentary. Let's be honest. Like you just said, when it comes to being outside, lifestyle changes, we're pretty sedentary. Even myself, when I consider myself an active person for a short period of time, right? Because I work out. Say I spend 2 hours of fitness, whether it's, an hour of training and then, an hour of walking or some light cardio or something like that. But for the rest of the day, I'm pretty damn sedentary, which is very unfortunate. So I try to do things to negate that sedentariness, if that's even a word. But like we've talked about before, if I'm on a call with you, because sometimes our calls are lengthy, I'll just, even if it's like driving, my wife crazy by, pacing, we can relate there by pacing around the house, talking on the phone, we're moving a little something, or, I went to as far as like, oh, I got a long phone call or I need to go. I'll go to the mall and just walk around that and take that phone call so that I'm moving a little bit there. So, and movement is, it's one of those things where we don't really look at movement very often. There's really only 2 times in our life that we look at movement, and I love to look at the movement. It's one of my certifications through the movement side there. I forget the certification off the top of my head, but I love their move well, move often, right? Move often, move well. But anyway, the 2 times that we look at movement are when you're born, right? We look at the baby, baby's moving good, it's not jacked up, good, sweet, you're good to go. And then if we have a traumatic brain injury, we look at somebody's movement. We all right there? You know what I mean? So I've always been like, why is that, right? So we look at movement, and people go and they have an exercise to say the person's 30 years old, fairly, decent shape their whole life, but they're starting to, that decline at 30 years old. They've never really been in a gym or anything like that and done exercises. So then they go right into the gym and they see what's going on inside there, and they're like, hey, I'm going to go squat. We don't even know, we're going to load bear before we even know how we move. So that's a big thing for me, is let's look at how we move, and then we can start to do things. And that's how injuries happen. I can speak firsthand on injuries. I've just come off, I'm 4 weeks off my second shoulder surgery. So I tore my right rotator in 14, and then last December I tore my left rotator and bicep tendon. Same injury, both sides. And I'm not going to take the blame for it, because I'm just not. So I'm going to blame my parents, because the doctor said, well, the way that I am structured, right, because I've done things most of my career to a T to keep from being injured, and shoulder injuries are pretty common. But he's like, the way you're structured and the things that you've done over the past 25, 30 years has created that constant, just wear and tear on those, and eventually they just snap. So I'm not taking the blame. I'm blaming my parents. But yeah, movement is key. I mean, just keeping our movement going. What are some of the things that you would like to add in there, besides movement being, good for things like your, reducing calories? Or I asked you yesterday about, which I find interesting. So I dove into that a little bit on the lymphatic system, right? So just moving a little bit on that, you mentioned the vibration plate or jumping up on the trampoline and stuff like that would improve the lymphatic system. So I'm looking and I'm diving into the lymphatic system over the last 24 hours. And I'm like, well, shit, I'm a big advocate of if you want to lose weight, you don't need to run, right? But then I'm looking at it and shit, running has a really good benefit on the lymphatic system. So it's and we don't need to do it a lot, right? And I see people, it's they want to lose weight, and I'm like, stop running. And now I'm like, do you really want to tell them to not run, or do we run in small increments? Let's run for 60 seconds, walk for 4 minutes. You see what I mean? Run for 60 more seconds, because there is that benefit to that lymphatic system.
Yeah. So here's a couple other practical takeaways that I had in this arena that basically kind of touch on aspects of everything that you've touched on. So an easy one is move every hour. Literally, just set a timer on your phone or your computer, and then just stand up every hour, stretch, do some squats, throw in some push-ups, whatever you need to do. Go take a lap around the house. Even literally 2 to 3 minutes of movement can help reset your system, helps with the cortisol, depending on what you're doing. Maybe you're hitting your lymphatics. I mean, there's a lot you can do in 2 to 3 minutes instead of just sitting in the chair. It makes a huge, huge difference.
Pain relief too.
Yeah, 100% pain relief. And this is also a way to think about this as movement snacks. So think of movement like snacking throughout the day. Do 10 push-ups. You can do that during a commercial break in the middle of a TV show. Take the stairs instead of the elevator, or just park at the end of the parking lot and walk far. It's little things that you can do that you string together that can make a decent difference throughout the day. Then number 3, walk, walk, walk. Leslie does this all the time now. He gets lapped all the time by guys in the mall. 90-year-old guys passing him up, power walkers. He's got to feel frustrated about that one. Oh, you got it up, huh?
I'm keeping up now, yeah.
That's funny. So walking is one of the most underrated exercises. Truly, it's one of the most underrated exercises in the world. Just aim for 3 15-minute walks a day. Morning, lunch, and evening. That's it. It's so simple. It's effective. I know Leslie does this technique a lot. When you're on the phone, and you know you're going to have a decent, lengthy conversation, just go for a walk outside. Very simple. We do it all the time.
And sorry to cut you off there. It doesn't have to be painful. Like there's a lot of people that don't just like going to the gym. Like I've always enjoyed it. It's been my sanctuary, my peaceful, my time. I love it. And it's been like that, for me, for the majority of my 50 years on this planet. It's just what I love to do. And find your movement. That's why I tell like people is like, oh, I hate the gym. I don't want to go in there. It's like, okay, well, what do you like? Find your movement, whether it's, going to play rec ball, rec soccer, rec whatever, walk around the neighborhood on walking your dog, whatever your movement is. It could be, what's that big craze now? I don't understand it. It's not my thing, but pickleball is all the craze.
I love pickleball.
I know you do. Yeah. You play a lot with your dad and stuff, and that's great. You know what I mean? I just can't, maybe I should try. Maybe I should try, but
I had basically 2 more points here. So strength training does matter here. And I know this is a big reason on why Leslie, is hesitant to tell people to go do a shitload of cardio. Your muscle wasting is going to be a real thing there. But if you want to live longer and you want to be stronger, lift heavy things. If all else is equal and you have to choose between cardio and lifting wins every single time on many fronts. This could be weights at the gym, your own body weight, or even just groceries, but just lift heavy things.
I wouldn't mind diving into that later. Maybe we make a little bookmark on that, because the importance of lifting cannot be understated, especially as we start to age and metabolism starts to drop. And as aging adults, we want to be able to put our groceries away, lift our kids up, sit down and get up out of a damn chair. Like, you know what I mean? These are things like you don't think of as a 40 and 50-year-old, right? But as you get into your 60s and 70s, these are important things. And you mentioned before, a lot of people that, they get into that 60, 70 years old, they end up breaking a hip. That hip breaks before the fall. That's one of the things I did not know, but that hip will break prior to the fall, and muscle strength training. And here I go. I say we could touch on this later, and here I'm going. But again, like that strength training also will strengthen those bones as well.
Yeah. And honestly, the biggest factor as you get up there in age, like what Leslie was touching on, believe it or not, is grip strength. Think about how many times you walk around the house and you almost fall, but you catch yourself, or you grab the handrail on the stair or a doorknob or whatever it is. You are strong enough to support your weight with your grip. What happens though when you're 70 and you haven't been strength training or doing anything and you don't have that grip strength? Well, now that almost fall turns into a real fall that can have catastrophic injuries attached to that. So that's a very, very important factor here.
That doesn't mean just get you a little handheld grip thing and start doing that. That's not what that means. That's not what he's talking about.
That's true. It's 100. I'm glad you said that. That's so good. And the last one here, make it fun. You don't have to see these things as chores. Make it fun. Movement doesn't have to be a chore at all. You could go dance. You can play with your kids, try a new sport. As Leslie touched on, the rec sports are incredible for that. Find something you enjoy and go do it. That's all that it is. Go do it. All right. Now, the next one. So this is number 5. Leslie touched on this a little bit earlier as well. You have to prioritize sleep. Here's the thing. If you're not sleeping, you're not healing. Sleep isn't just rest. It's your body's nightly reset button. Without it, you're not repairing, you're not detoxifying, or even functioning at your best. In fact, poor sleep is one of the most overlooked factors in human optimization. Let's say that again. Human sleep is the most overlooked factor in human optimization. It's such a huge deal. Think about it. When you pulled an all-nighter in college or wherever you are in life, when you had to stay up all night for work or whatever, how'd you perform the next day? Probably not your best, right? And that's because your body isn't able to get those free radicals under control. It's not able to detoxify and do all of the things to try to make sure that you wake up at your best so that you can perform your best the next day. It's very, very simple. When your body doesn't get enough quality sleep, you have that spike in cortisol. Your body enters survival mode because you're stressing it in a way that it's not meant to be stressed in. Your stress hormones outside of cortisol also spike. Cortisol is the big one though. Your immune system weakens. It's actually even been shown that your IQ actually drops from lack of sleep. It's pretty incredible. Your brain just can't clear out the toxins, which is why you feel foggy or forgetful. So make sure you prioritize sleep. Honestly, there are people I know that literally plan their entire day around sleep. That is their number one thing that they plan. It's pretty incredible. So try to get at least 7 hours. 7 to 8 is optimal. Some people can operate on a little bit less. Those are genetic predispositions. And a lot of times it's not just like kind of like dozing out. It's that deep REM sleep. So some people that might need less sleep, they're able to get into REM much quicker. And that way they're able to hit the REM amounts in the same or in less time overall. So keep that into account. So here are some practical takeaways for sleep. You must create a bedtime routine. This is crucial. So go to bed at the same time every single night. Your body craves routine. Absolutely craves it. Set an alarm to go to bed. Let's say if you want to go to bed at 10 or whether it's 10, 11, whatever, set your alarm or a reminder for 15 minutes before that and then get into your routine. And that helps your internal clock know, hey, it's time to wind down, time to go to bed. And then it's just going to make it easier and easier and easier. If you do this for a week, I guarantee you your sleep's going to be better. So there are a couple things that you can do as well. Like some people, they have the issue of ruminating on thoughts that either are coming up or that happened that day. Here's a little trick. The reason that some people are ruminators, that's due to something called catecholamines. And what those will do is it will keep your mind going, even though your body can be tired. So here's a way to break that up. There's a couple ways. So number one, intense exercise. If you go out and do intense exercise, not only are you going to get the dopamine release, you're going to clear out those catecholamines. The other way to clear out the catecholamines, which this is probably not going to be very fun for some people, but it's going to be to shock the body with a massive temperature change. So start your shower, put the water as hot as you possibly can get it. You know, don't scald yourself, but as hot as you can stand it. Stand in the water for 60 seconds. After you stand in the water for 60 seconds, step out of the shower, turn it on cold. Let it get cold. Step in the shower for 30 seconds. It's almost like an ice plunge, but what is going to happen here is your body's going to be shocked in a good way to clear out the catecholamines, which will help you lay down and pass right out. Yes, there is going to be from that cold shock, maybe a 30-second to 5-minute time period after you get out where you might feel a little more energized. But I promise you, after that, you're just going to fade out. Now, here's a nice little routine too. When you get to your bed and you're like, okay, you've done that, you brushed your teeth, you've done what you need to do, you get to your bed, here's a very easy system so that you just fall right out. All you do is you take exaggerated exhale breaths. So inhale as much air as you possibly can. So maybe inhale for 5 seconds, exhale for 8, or you can do 4 and 8. But it's the long exhale that hits that vagus nerve and it actually slows your heart rate. And now if you still have thoughts going on in your head when you're doing this, just use some imagery, close your eyes. As you inhale, you're inhaling to get those thoughts. And then as you exhale, imagine those thoughts exhaling through your nose as light out into the world, and you just let it go. And then you just do that to a count of 10. Honestly, you're probably not going to make it to 10. You'll probably fall out or be ready at about 6 or 7. But do that with your routine and you're going to have incredible sleep. Another big thing, you have to be surgical with light in the bedroom. When you have light, your body has a natural increase in cortisol. So what I mean by surgical is you have your alarm clock next to your bed, put something over it or turn it down. You've got a smoke alarm above with a light, go get some black electrical tape and put it on there so no light is coming out. Even small amounts of light can make a massive difference in terms of calming your mind and letting you float out. So that is your sleep sanctuary. Make it as such. Leslie touched on this earlier. Avoid stimulants later in the day. You can't be drinking energy drinks at 8 p.m. and think you're going to have a good night's rest. It doesn't work like that. And then the last one, Leslie also touched on this one. Practice those relaxation techniques. Get on a PEMF mat, go ground outside, go meditate. You don't have to spend money for this stuff. You can go ground and do meditation outside for free. There's no reason you need to spend money.
You can also walk barefoot for a little bit. Like, and that's why I spend a lot of money on my yard, is because I want to walk in it and I want it to feel good on my feet, but I also want to be grounded. So,
yep, it's incredible. All right, now moving on to the next one. We're going to have Leslie take this one because I know this one hits home for him. Hydration is a non-negotiable. Go ahead, Leslie.
I feel silly telling y'all this, to be honest. It's like, oh, come on. But I won't stay long on it because it's really, really simple. Your body's made up of over 60% water, so it's vital. Just remember those things that I talked about earlier when it comes to the caffeine intake. Don't set a hard number at 75 ounces if you're 150 pounds, which is a good starting point. But again, if we had a really hard cardio session and I weighed 150 going in and I weigh 140 coming out, guess what I need to do? I need to replenish that 75 is now 16 more. It'd be 32 more, because it's an ounce or 8 ounces for every 1 pound. So yeah, it would be
16 ounces.
So it'd be 32. Yeah. If you lost 2 pounds. So just remember those things, and the caffeine intake, if you take it in, and drinking a nice glass of water first thing in the morning's key. Just remember, if you're thirsty, guess what? Dehydration has already set in. I'm not over here drinking vodka, people. This is not vodka, as much as I wish it was. It's not. It's water. However you want to take that in, the water can be taken in multiple facets, whether it's, you can add a little bit to it. I think we have a lot of ways these days with the what are those little packets called that have a flavor drink? Or
Element is a big one.
Yeah, you can throw them in there. Yeah, you make a little bit of taste in there or whatever. I like water, so it doesn't really bother me. I drink water all day. And then you get it in a lot of fruits and vegetables. I personally don't like melons, but again, my kids love melons. I'll buy melons all the time for them. I cannot stand the smell of watermelon, but again, they like it. So melons have a lot of water in it. What else has fruit that has water in it? There's
cucumber.
Cucumbers have water in them. Yeah.
Oranges.
And remember too, lettuce is literally 97% water. If I have a nice big salad, now, with that said, just remember to control that dressing. Like, I want to touch on that. It has nothing to do with this, but just control the salad dressing on salads. It's important. Carry a water bottle, get your electrolytes in. I think you mentioned that before. You can just throw some salt and some, what'd you say earlier, lemon?
Lime, lemon. Mineral salts are awesome as well to add.
And I used to do a lime, what's that, Pink's Himalayan salt, and a couple tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. I would do that too. So be wary and mindful of your hydration level. Like I said, this is simple. If you're already thirsty, dehydration is already setting in, drink your water and measure it, monitor it just like you would your food, just like you would your sleep. Monitor your water. If I have a set bottle. It's X amount of ounces in that bottle. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. There, I hit my number. Pretty simple. I only had 3 today. Guess what? I didn't hit my number. So just don't make it complicated. Just make sure you do it.
Definitely. Then number 7, strength train for longevity. We already kind of touched on this. Grip strength too is a big one. But number 8, gut health equals whole health. I have a very personal brush with this recently before I get into this, and we'll go on this journey together. So I recently was at an A4M conference, American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. I'm a member, and I took some blood tests on leaky gut and parasites, all sorts of specialty labs, which we now have a partnership with a lab that can do these specialty labs, which you normally can't get done at like LabCorp or anything like that. So we're going to start offering this so that people are able to actually get this kind of healthcare away from PCPs, because they're not going to do that for you. So this will give you some insights into your gut health, viruses, parasites, COVID protein spikes, all of that kind of stuff we'll be able to test for. Mine came back really bad. So I am starting a peptide regimen, and these are all peptides that we offer so that we can show you the before and we can show you the after of the exact effects of this peptide stack that I'm taking. And we'll be able to individualize it to any person to truly make sure it's the best fit for them. So your gut is your body's second brain. I honestly like to say it's even the first brain a lot of times, because that's even where food comes to and everything you eat goes to. And that sends signals to your brain on what hormones to produce or neurotransmitters, what have you. It doesn't just digest food, it influences your mood, your immunity, which is very important, and even your ability to think clearly. Isn't that incredible? In fact, 70% of your immune system lives in your gut. And that's the issue with leaky gut. So you only have a one cell, like one layer thick of one cell membrane that goes around your gut. That's how sensitive your gut can be. And when those gates open up too much, COVID vaccine seems to be, and that's where I think mine has originated. Overly processed foods. There are many other things that cause it, especially post-COVID now. It's a big issue. The immune system that does live in your gut, it's made up of bacteria, and that's why you take probiotics, prebiotics, and all of that, but it works 24/7 to keep you healthy. Have you ever felt bloated or sluggish or just off after eating? There's certain foods that you may have sensitivities to, or maybe you notice that your stomach is upset and your mood happens to take a nosedive. How can you have an upset stomach and be happy? Those kind of go hand in hand, right? It's not a coincidence. It's your gut actually talking to you. Let's listen and make it so much better. Now, I'm going to kind of cruise through this a little bit and get into the practical takeaways here, but we can talk about like a recent client that we did also have. So we had a recent client who struggled with constant fatigue and digestive issues. She thought it was just part of getting older, but when we focused on improving that gut health by adding probiotics and peptide therapies, cutting out processed foods and increasing fiber is so crucial to gut health. She felt like a new person. She literally said she felt superhuman. Her energy came back, her digestion improved, and it even cleared her skin up. She felt younger, she looked younger, and it was incredible. It was a total transformation. So that's just one story from somebody that we've had an interaction with on gut health. So here's some practical takeaways for you. So adding probiotics. I know Leslie will hit home on this one. I'll turn it over to him on probiotics because he loves to talk about probiotics. Probiotics are the good bacteria your gut needs to thrive. You can find them in fermented foods like yogurt, sauerkraut, or kimchi. And you can also get this in supplements. There are prebiotics that you want to also be aware of. Feed your gut with those prebiotics as well. Prebiotics are the food for your good bacteria. So you're giving them energy by feeding the good bacteria in your gut. So think fiber-rich foods like garlic, onions, bananas are incredible, or asparagus. The more you feed your good bacteria, the stronger they become so that they can fight off bad. Anything you want to add to that, Leslie? Because I know you like pro and prebiotics a lot.
I mean, yeah, I think you really hit home on a lot of those things. So I don't know that I could say any of it really much better than you've already said it. I've tried like every one of these foods to kind of like naturally increase my gut microbiome and, add probiotics to my diet as well as prebiotics. Think of it like as the prebiotic as being the soil. This is how I usually coach it up is the prebiotic is the soil and the probiotic is the seed. So if we think of it that way, without the two of them together, like I could have a seed in your hand and it's really not going to do much, right? Unless it's a potato, it's going to grow some roots or whatever. But again, we can basically hold those seeds and they're not going to do anything. So taking these probiotics without the soil is really a waste of money. So just keep that in mind whenever you're doing, your probiotics is make sure you're getting the prebiotics, whether it's the fiber-rich foods, or you can, supplement them like I do because I don't eat near enough vegetables, to be quite honest. So I supplement my prebiotics. So
one more thing that I'd add here too is essentially, even if you're supplementing, not all supplements in this area are the same. So if you try to take a prebiotic and you just take like a powder, put it in water and you drink it, or if it's just a pill, if that doesn't guard against your stomach acid, because what your stomach acid's supposed to do, it's supposed to kill bacteria before it reaches your gut where you take all of the nutrients into your body and process them. Guess what? That money that you spent on that probiotic or prebiotic, you might as well just throw it in the toilet because you just killed it with your stomach acid. So you need to get a high enough quality supplement that actually accounts for that and has a delivery system that basically does not break down an acid. So in your gut, it's not an acidic environment anymore. It's more of an alkaline environment. So you want to make sure that they're activated by alkalinity instead of acidity. So that's just one thing to keep in mind there too. And we can touch on this. We do like to include stuff like this into our newsletter as well. So if this is something you want more info on, we'll definitely be including this within our newsletter for more info for you guys. And then we've already kind of touched on the last two. So I'll just read them out to you just so you're knowing that they're affiliated. Staying hydrated is so important for so many factors. And this is another factor. And then managing stress. When someone's incredibly anxious, their gut is probably unsettled. There's a reason there. There's a connection. There doesn't need to be much more said about it. Just try to manage your stress, whether that's through working out, whether it's through mindfulness practices, whether it's through journaling, whatever you end up doing, grounding, whatever you do, that's the way to do it. Just manage that stress. All right, Leslie, I'm going to throw this back over to you. So, number 9, get sunlight every day. Go ahead, Leslie.
You said it. I have nothing else to add. Get sunlight every day. So, I mean, honestly, however you get the sunlight, get it on your face. Just walk out there and get the sunlight, soak it in. It's just so beneficial, The morning sunlight will, help you on your circadian rhythm, right?
Circadian rhythm?
Yeah. Your circadian rhythm. I like that word, rhythm.
So during that first 30 minutes, though, that's when UVA and UVB is lowest. So you don't have as much risk for like sunburn or anything like that. It's because the position of the sun, it kind of skips over the atmosphere. This helps activate your metabolism. It helps give you energy. It tells your body it's time to wake up or perform. And another big thing here, don't wear sunglasses, especially in the beginning of the day. You want that light getting into your eyes to activate you. But go ahead, Leslie. I'll let you calm down. And now you.
Yeah, I was actually going to. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for taking over there. So, yeah, I was actually going to talk about that next is because I have a bad habit of like, the sun is bright. Let me get those off. But early in the day, I try to tend to like not wear sunglasses. And I wait till at least the sun is, at high noon before I start wearing those. So that's a good like tidbit there to help you out on the sunglass thing. Like just try to keep them off your face until high noon, especially if you're out, but get outside during
it helps
breaks.
Serotonin. Yep.
Yeah. And if you're working in an office and stuff like that, it's a beautiful day, get out there at lunch, so just go out there and get your sunlight and get your sunscreen on if you're going to be out there for more than 15 minutes. So, but the one thing that I would love for you to touch on that we've talked about 1,000 times that people don't do is get their blood work. Goodness gracious, people, can you please stop taking people's word for what's wrong with you and taking and shoving pills or these and this. I experienced it firsthand just the other day with somebody that was just doing things that, blindly, basically. I think it's just blindly like doing these things without the numbers.
Well, yeah, I'll touch on that. So the first thing I want to do is hit on the sunscreen thing. Be aware of sunscreen. So magically recently we've had a lot higher rates of skin cancer because now we have a lot more sunscreen getting lathered on. Go for natural sunscreen. Don't go out and buy Copper Tone or some huge brand that has all this stuff in it that has ingredients that cause cancer. You can get stuff that's natural and organic that's actually healthy for you. Now back to the blood work side. So on the blood work side, as Leslie was saying, incredibly important. So think about this. We work with a lot of C-suite level executives. We work with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of these guys that want to optimize their health and, have the means to do so. And, we talk with a lot of them and they have questions on so many different things. And we know they're successful in business and we'll say, okay, so all the KPIs you got to hit, your top line, your bottom line, all your vendors stuff. Every number that there is to know about your business. Do you know your testosterone level? Do you know your glucose level? Do you know your A1C? Do you know your health numbers? What's more important? Is your business more important or is your health more important? Most people are going to say their health is more important, but out of those people that say that, how many of them know these numbers? They're very, very important. So keep that in mind. Before you can do any sort of therapy or do anything from an informed and educated position, you have to have the data. So get the data. That's all that Leslie and I are trying to tell you. We're not trying to push you into a therapy. Just know where you are at. And again, whether you do it with us or whether you do it with someone else, that part doesn't even matter. We just want to make sure that you actually go and get the data. So that's the crucial thing here. Leslie, did you have anything to add to that?
Not just from a business standpoint of whether you know your numbers, but know your numbers for your family. I mean, to be honest with you, because my family relies on me. If I don't know my numbers, right, and I happen to take a spill and I'm gone, where does that leave my family? So just food for thought, man. Just, kind of, like we've touched on the business side. We know the business numbers and things like that. Do it. If you're not doing it for yourself, do it for your family.
Yeah, no, I do like that a lot. That's super, super insightful. All right. So now, number one, garbage in equals garbage out. You can't be putting crap into your body and thinking you're going to get anything but crap out. Number two, control your cortisol, which happens to then influence your cellular age, and it will make you look better, feel better, all sorts of stuff. Number three, supplement with vitamin D3 and make sure that your D3 has K2 in it. It makes a big, big difference. Number four, movement is medicine. Number five, prioritize sleep, as that's your body's reset button. Your body does so much during sleep. Number six, hydration is a non-negotiable. You should be drinking in probably a lot more than you are, even if you are training and you've already been drinking a lot of water. It's so, so, so key. Strength train for longevity. Gut health equals whole health. Remember, your gut is actually your first brain. Number nine, get sunlight every single day, especially early in the morning. And number 10, know your numbers. Go get labs done so you know where your body is at. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you watched this all the way through to the end. We're going to have the ability to sign up for our newsletter down below so you can get some more insights into some of these devices or some other practical health tips that we're going to touch on. Also, we have a free wellness consultation link down there in the notes. So if you have some questions about your health or any of the things that we covered, we do offer a way to have access to either Leslie or I so that we're able to go over your specific situation so that you can have the best possible recommendations. Anything else you want to add before we close all the way, Leslie?
No, you did great. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, John.
Awesome. No problem. Thanks for your time as well. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you next month. Have a good day.
So, you just listened to this episode. Now, join us in being addicted to betterment. Please subscribe to the show, share with your friends, tag us, and please take a moment, leave a review. Yeah, we do want your stars, but we really want the feedback.